This week's Parsha, we're in Parsha Savo, and I was doing a study with the Ramban Nachmanides, and I thought I'd share in Perek Kav Zayin, Pasuk Kav Vav, chapter 27, verse 26, and it says like this: Arur asher lo yakim es divrei haTorah hazot la'asot osam va'amar ho ha'am amen. Accursed is the one who will not uphold the words of this Torah to perform them, and the entire people should say Amen. So, like Ramban in normal fashion, he goes to quote from Rashi first, and he says Rashi's opinion. It says Ka'an Kala es Kol HaTorah. Here in this verse, he included the entire Torah, and they accepted upon themselves with a curse and an oath. Lashon Rashi. This is the language of Rashi. So Rashi basically just said they accepted the entire Torah, and whether to do it or not, it comes along with a curse and an oath. But Ramban, he actually has a different explanation, and he says, "Ufi dati." In my opinion, this acceptance requires that one should acknowledge the validity of the commandments in his heart and regard them as true. So Ramban is saying that there should be in the mental, there should be observing that understanding within the heart that the Torah is true, and you must also believe that one who performs them will have the reward of good, and one who transgresses them will be punished. The Inyachapar, the Achas Mehen, O Ye, the Anav, the Tala, Leolam Hine, Hu Alor. If one denies the validity of any one of the commandments or regards it as annulled in any time in the future, he is cursed. So this is anyone that denies that the Torah is still applicable today, that the commandments are still ongoing. If they deny this and say that it's abolished, then they are cursed. However, Ramban says, if he merely transgressed one of the commandments, such as where he ate meat of swine or an abominable creature, so to satisfy his lust, rather out of indifference to the commandments. So if he was broke or he transgressed a mitzvah and did something he wasn't supposed to, or if he did not make for himself a lulav or sukkah due to laziness, he is not included in this curse of destruction, meaning that one that believes that the Torah is still ongoing today, that it hasn't been abolished, that the commandments are still today, that we should live by them and do them, even though they may have transgressed or did not do a mitzvah. These things are not cursed because we still have that understanding that Torah is still today. So, like, not all of us are Levites. I'm not a Levite. There's times where I may miss out on a mitzvah or transgress, but I do believe the Torah is forever. This is the instructions from Hashem, and this is what Ramban Nachmanides is saying. And he says, for the verse did not state who will not perform the words of this Torah, but rather it is stated who will not uphold the word of this Torah to perform them. Okay, and so also this verse brings me to another thought of what Shaul in Galatians 3:10 says. And this is what he says. He says that for as many are the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, cursed is everyone that continues not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. So you're cursed if you do not uphold the Torah. And Paul says, for as many of the works of the law are under the curse. It almost sounds like a contradiction. But Paul isn't pulling this out of thin air. This is actually quoted a few times in the Tanakh and even in the Torah. For example, in Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 29, it says, you warned them to return to your Torah, but they deliberately sinned and did not listen to your commandments, and regarding your laws they sinned against them, which man should keep and live by them. So they should live by them, but Nehemiah is saying they went against the Torah, they rebelled. So going against the Torah is a negative thing, but keeping the commandments is in positive. Also in Yehezkel, I believe it's chapter 20, verse 10 to 12, it says, "And I took them out of Mitzrayim, and out of the land of, yeah, I took them out of the land of Mitzrayim and brought them to the wilderness, and gave them my decrees and my ordinances I made known to them, which, if a man performs them, he shall live through them, not die through them, not be cursed by them." So again, here is a positive understanding of what this means. And also you have it in Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 18, verse 4 and 5 here. Let's see here. Verse 4 and 5, it says, "Carry out my laws and my safeguards, my decrees to follow them. I am Hashem your God. You shall observe my decrees and my laws, which man shall carry out, and by which he shall live. I am Hashem." So the mitzvot are actually not for death. They're to bring the life. They're for you to live by them. So this is what it really means. Even Yeshua, our rabbi, says that I did not come to abolish the Torah. I came to fulfill. And many Christians say, yeah, he didn't come to abolish the Torah, but he completed it. He needs to stop. But no, can't say this. That's not what Yeshua is saying. He said, I came to fulfill, but I did not come to abolish. He is living them out. He's fulfilling it. He fulfilled them. But it doesn't mean he fulfilled it for everybody so that you don't have to do anything anymore. Forget about obeying Hashem. Forget about the 10 sayings and all of these things. And so, going on, the Ramban Nachmanides, he actually now brings an interpretation from the Yerushalmi, and it says here, "But in the Talmud Yerushalmi, in Tractate Sota, I saw the following." The verse states, "One who does not uphold the words of the Torah." He says, is there then a falling of the Torah that must be held up? Does the Torah fall over? Is there something, is there a demand for us to hold it up? And it says, Rabbi Shimon ben Yakim says, this refers to the Chazan. Okay? The Chazan. So the Gabbai. And it's to not only observe the Torah, you see, it says here, going on, Rabbi said in the name of Rabbi Takum Bar Chaya, even if one studied the Torah and taught it to others and observed and performed the commandments, but had the capacity to strengthen it among the public and yet did not strengthen it, he is included in the curse of this verse. So it's not only to observe the Torah, not just do it on your own, study and do the mitzvot on your own, but if someone who is in a position of power, a rosh, a rebbe, a melech, he has people that he's responsible for, that he's an authoritative figure, he's obligated to make sure that these people follow the Torah, they obey the decrees. Okay, so it's not just enough to do it for yourself. Israel is a community. It's about being responsible for our brothers and sisters. And so, going on, Ramban offers another explanation, a second explanation of the Yerushalmi. And it says here, the sages that thus expound this verse is upholding as referring to that of the royal house, the office of the Nasi, the Beis Din. So, who have the power to uphold, to enforce the observance of the Torah among the wicked who nullify it. So Ramban says this kind of agrees with his own opinion, his own interpretation, that those that completely rebel or say that the Torah is nullified, this is no good. And even if the person that has this authority figure, the Nasi, the Beis Din, they're perfectly righteous. They are Zadik, and then they're Zadik in their own deeds, but he has the ability to strengthen the observance of the Torah among the wicked who nullify it and he did not do so. He is accursed. And this interpretation is close to what the Ramban says in the beginning. So it's for an authoritative figure, they're responsible to uphold the Torah. You know, they're, if you're in a shul and you're davening and people are all talking through the davening and not really even there to even concentrate and focus on what they're saying to Hashem, it's the rabbi's responsibility to put them in line, tell them to be quiet, and show the seriousness of the Torah, to not mind his own business, but make sure that the community is observing the Torah. And now the Ramban has one last explanation, according to the first opinion of the Yerushalmi, and it says, and they said by the way of homiletic interpretation and agada, so an agadot, that this refers to the Chazan who does not stand up the Torah scroll. So as he's putting them away, setting them up in the Aron, if they're falling over or not completely standing upright, then this refers to the Chazan who's not really upholding the Torah. But actually, the Ramban actually says he has a different opinion of what that actually means of referring to the Chazan. That this refers to the Chazan who does not raise up the Torah scroll above for the congregation to show to one facing his writing. So the Ramban Nachmanides is actually even the Chazam cipher in Yora Dea Siman Reish Ein Vav. He actually says the Hagbah that this is so important that it's so close to the Raisa, it's almost so close to a biblical commandment that he actually refers to the Ramban Nachmanides here. And so the Ramban says it's not just enough to just hold up the Torah, but actually open up so that the congregation can see the writing. Because when we say Vazot Torah, that we shouldn't even say this is the Torah until we actually see the writing on the Torah. And this is exclusively stated in Tractate Soferim. Also, he says that they raise the Torah scroll and display the face of its writing for all the people standing on the right and on its left. And one turns to those in front and for those in behind him. And so, for it is a mitzvah for all men and women to see the writing, and also even bow and say the verse in regard and written in regard to the Torah. This is the teaching that Moshe, the Zot Torah Asher Sham Moshe Lifnei Bnei Israel, placed before the children of Israel, and such is indeed the custom. So I thought that was an awesome explanation. I learned this week studying the Ramban Nachmanides about how this is all connected to lifting up the Torah, and it's almost even biblically commanded. And so I thought I'd just share that with everybody. We're in the month of Elul, and maybe continue to study, continue to live out the Torah, obey the mitzvot, do teshuvah as we're approaching the high holy days. May you all continue to be blessed, especially to those who uphold the Torah. Shavua Tov.